Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom.
Hey, we've got a food unit for you. It's called Taiwan's Wonder Spice, Magao. I actually don't know what they're talking about in this. I'm sure I've eaten it before. When you saw this particular unit, Tom, did you think, oh, I like that spice?
No, I did not feel that way. I'm not much of a connoisseur when it comes to food. If I'm hungry, I just go to the restaurant and eat something and get it over with because I've got other things to do than sit there and eat. But, some people are into fine cuisine, fine dining, and I guess this particular pepper, this kind of spice or this seasoning or whatever called magao, is all the rage with chefs, not only in Taiwan, but also with chefs overseas.
Cool.
So, yeah, if you have a farm and you grow this stuff, you're probably making a lot of money right now because this seems to be a really popular seasoning. And that's our subject for today in our food unit, Magao, Taiwan's Wonder Spice. Let's find out what this is all about. Let's read the entire contents of our lesson now one time. Magao, also called mountain pepper, is a spice that's currently all the rage with chefs making Western food in Taiwan and foreign chefs visiting the country. It has a wonderful fragrance and goes well with many kinds of food. However, its use in cuisine is nothing new. The Magao tree is an indigenous Taiwanese plant that has been used by the Atayal and Saisiat tribes for thousands of years. It's sometimes called Mei Chong, though it's also known by its scientific name, Litzia cubeba. In early March, the tree's yellow flowers bloom, giving off a special lemon scent. The plant adapts well to different habitats and can grow at elevations from 100 meters to 1,500 meters above sea level. Fresh Magao berries are green and they turn black when dried in the sun. They're crushed for use as a spice, and their distinctive flavor tastes like a combination of black pepper, ginger, and lemongrass. From meat, seafood, and soup to even dessert, Magao can accompany almost any food. Fresh catfish wrapped with bamboo leaves and flavored with Magao is a popular dish. In mountain areas, you're likely to see vendors on the road selling sausages spiced with Magao. It's so versatile that it can even be used in place of salt or black pepper for a spicy kick. What's more, Magao's usage isn't limited to cooking. The plant is also made into essential oil and used as a raw material in pharmaceutical products. For the Atayal and other indigenous Taiwanese, Magao has a deep cultural significance. It represents nutrition, the life cycle, and the traditional wisdom and life spirit of their ancestors. The next time you get a chance, be sure to try a delicious dish flavored with this amazing spice.
So we're going to spend today talking about Taiwan's Wonder Spice. It's called Magao, and it's also called mountain pepper, and it's also referred to as Meijang, and its official scientific name is Litzia cubeba. I just want to warn our listeners, though, when you use the scientific name for plants or for vegetables or even some fruits, you're going to get some foreigners like us looking at you funny because we typically never even know what that scientific name is. But I've done a lot of recordings of translations for companies, and they often will use that scientific name. And I'll say, wow, foreigners just really don't know what you're talking about if you use this. But it is the scientific name, but it has other names that it's more commonly known by. Of course, here in Taiwan, it's called Magao, and it's referred to as a wonder spice. A spice is some sort of an herb, or even it could be a spice that's used to flavor food typically, but it can also flavor other things like essential oils, or maybe you want to put together some potpourri to scent your apartment or home so it smells nice. They'll often use different spices or herbs
Okay, so let's dive right in here and talk about the first sentence. It says, Magao, also called mountain pepper, it is a spice that's currently all the rage with chefs making Western food in Taiwan and foreign chefs visiting the country. So if something is all the rage, that means it is extremely popular. And so here we're just talking about this mountain pepper that is popular with people all over the place.
Yeah, so everything has its own time and space in the popularity world. Sometimes you're popular for a long time. Sometimes it's very quick. And then things, aren't quite so popular. With chefs, though, you'll find that something will be popular for maybe a year or a season, and then people get tired of it, like kale. Everybody was frying kale forever and putting it in salad. Or chimichurri sauce, that was kind of popular for a while. Well, now it's Magao that's popular among chefs. Now, we know it's native to this area over here in Asia, but it's being used in Western food as well by Western chefs. So it's giving Taiwan a lot of attention. Of course, it's grown in other Asian countries, but we are pretty proud of the Magao right here in Taiwan.
Indeed. So it's popular with local chefs as well as foreign chefs who come to Taiwan and want to check it out.
Yeah.
It has a wonderful fragrance and goes well with many kinds of food.
So it's got a wonderful fragrance, and its use in cuisine is nothing new. Cuisine is a word we use to talk about a culture or a country's particular style of cooking, or some of the dishes that they're known for, or dishes that are representative of that particular country. For example, Thai cuisine is known to be fairly spicy, much more spicy than, say, American dishes generally. I was surprised at how spicy they are. But cuisine is kind of a really elegant way to talk about a country's food. Now, the Magao tree is an indigenous Taiwanese plant. If something's indigenous, it means it was originally here in this particular area. No one had to bring the plant from another country or another island. It actually originated here. It's indigenous. We often talk about the indigenous tribes or the indigenous peoples, the people that were originally in that particular place. They're native to that place. You could say it's a native Taiwanese plant, and it's been used by two different tribes, Atayal and the Saisiat tribes. They both have used this particular spice or herb for thousands of years, for a long time. So they're very familiar with it.
Indeed. So maybe you could try some Atayal or Saisiat restaurants when you're in some mountain areas. And it's sometimes called mei chang, though it's also known by its scientific name, Litzia cubeba. And again, as Stephanie said, we don't really want you to focus on that term too much. Unless you're a scientist, okay, then it would be useful if you're a botanist or something like that. But for the rest of us, we're just calling this Magao. That's close enough.
Now, in early March, that's when the tree's yellow flowers bloom. So when those yellow flowers bloom, they open up, and they then give off a special lemon scent. That sounds so wonderful. I love the smell of lemons. I like to clean with a cleanser that has a lemon scent, so I think I'd really enjoy this. So if you give off a scent, it means it emits or comes from you. Sometimes we'll buy those air fresheners that are really popular right now in stores. They will give off a particular scent. You usually fill them with some essential oil, and that's what that scent smells like. Well, this smells like lemons. And again, scent is similar to a fragrance or something's perfume, what it smells like, and it's usually nice.
Yes, it also has a nice aroma. It smells like lemons, and the plant adapts well to different habitats and can grow at elevations from 100 meters to 1,500 meters above sea level. So this adapts well to different habitats. That means you can plant it in different areas.
Cool.
There are some plants that are not so flexible. They can only grow in a certain area, and if you try to grow them someplace else, they're not going to make it. They're going going to wither and die. But this particular plant can be grown in different areas, but it does have a range in elevation. Elevation is just how high you are above sea level. So they can grow between elevations of 100 meters to 1,500 meters above sea level. Hence, they're probably grown in Nantou. And fresh Magao berries are green, and they turn black when dried in the sun. So if you see them growing on the plant and you pick the berries from the plant, they'll be green in color. But then if you stick them out in the sun and you dry them in the sun, they will turn black.
Cool. Here it says it does adapt to different habitats, as Tom said. I would say we would usually call this sort of plant hardy. If something's hardy, it survives in a lot of different types of weather or climates, and it's just a pretty tough plant. It's hard to kill it. So I'm from an area in the United States where our plants have to be very hardy because we have a lot of sun and not a lot of water. So this is great. So it can survive in different types of areas, in different habitats. And as Tom said, the fresh berries are green, but then they turn black when they're dried in the sun. You have to dry them first before you can use them. Then what they do is they crush them. If you crush something, you press it or squeeze it or push it with a lot of force so that it usually turns into some sort of powder or tiny pieces of something. We crush ice that we put into drinks that are served in restaurants, crushed ice. You can crush someone by turning them down if they ask you for a date and you go, oh, no, thanks. You can crush someone's heart. That's more, of course, figurative. It's not literal. Here we're actually taking those berries and pushing down on them so that they turn into some sort of powder or smaller pieces, and they can be used as a spice at that point. You can add them to dishes that you like, and it's got a really distinctive flavor. If something has a distinctive flavor, it doesn't taste like or smell like anything else. When you smell that, oh, you know exactly what it is. So it's got a distinctive flavor, and it tastes like a combination or a mix of black pepper, ginger, and lemongrass. This sounds very yummy. And actually, these three scents or flavors sound very much like Asia to me. So lemongrass, yeah, ginger, of course, is very Asia, and black pepper, I love black pepper. And these three together kind of make up what that smell or scent or flavor of the Magao tastes like or smells like.
Sounds like a great seasoning, a great spice that can go well with lots of different kinds of foods. So we'll talk about some of the dishes that are made with this particular spice in just a couple of seconds. But right now we're going to take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
大家好，我是派老师。今天讲解的是7月份 Unit6 Magao Taiwan's Wonder Spice。这是一份篇章结构的练习题，内容是在介绍非常具有台湾特色的香料马告。在开始解题前，老师想要跟大家强调，篇章结构最重要的就是回填的句子要和前后文连贯，在文意概念上承先启后，请大家谨记前后连贯、文意通顺这8字真言。好，我们现在看到第一题前一句 It has a wonderful fragrance and goes well with many kinds of food. 它具有美妙的香味，与许多种食物都相当搭配。请同学把 go well with many kinds of food 画起来，指的呢就是搭配，相当的搭配。紧接着我们看空格后的一句 The Magao tree is an indigenous Taiwanese plant that has been used by the Ataya and Saisia tribes for thousands of years. 马告树是台湾原生植物 indigenous 原生的，泰雅族和塞夏族已经拿来运用了好几千年。我们审视一下4个选项，我依记提到入菜当佐料，又提到历史的，就只有选项 A. However, its use in cuisine is nothing new. 但是马告入菜并不是什么新鲜事。第一题，答案选 A。大家知道马告树的花是什么颜色吗？ 在第二题往前3句，我们看到 In early March, the tree's yellow flowers bloom, giving off a special lemon scent. 马告树在3月初黄花盛开，散发特殊的柠檬香。Bloom 就是开花，而 give off 是散发气味，也可以是发出光芒的意思。我们接着看下一句 The plant adapts well to different habitats. 请同学把这里 adapt well to different habitats 画起来。这个植物呢，相当适应不同的栖息地。好的，接下来我们看 fresh 马告 berries 马告果实。These berries are green 其实是绿色的 and they turn black when dried in the sun 在日光下曝晒后变黑。第二题空格是本段的最后一句，可以推测空格继续说明马告果实如何做成调味料，所以我们选 D。They are crushed for use as a spice. 那这个选项的意思是，晒干后的马告果实压碎以后做成香料，独特的味道吃起来像黑胡椒、生姜和柠檬草的混合。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's our food unit, and we're talking about a really trendy spice, something that's pretty fashionable right now in cooking. And a lot of the chefs around the world, they're always looking for the latest, greatest thing. They want to be, cutting edge. They want to use something that no other chef has found. And a lot of times by traveling around the world, they can be exposed to different scents and flavors that they wouldn't normally be aware of. So if you want to be a really great chef, you kind of need to travel, try out a lot of street food. You find a lot of good things that way. Well, we're talking about Taiwan's wonder spice called magao. And when we left you, we were talking about its scent. It has this special lemon scent. And that when you crush it and use it as a spice, it's kind of like a combo or a mixture or a combination of black pepper, ginger, and lemongrass. I love all three of those. So I think I would really enjoy magao. I think I'm going to ask for it the next time I go to a market.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm at least going to ask my wife if she's ever had it before. But as you know, magao is not something that you can eat by itself. It's a seasoning, it's a spice that needs to be added to other foods to enhance their flavor. So from meat, seafood, and soup to even dessert, magao can accompany almost any food. So here we've got the word accompany. That just means it goes with these kinds of food, okay? So you can have meat dishes, you can serve it with seafood, you can have it in your soup, and you can even have it in your dessert. I can't imagine this being in a cake or ice cream or pie or something, but I guess it can be done.
I don't know if I'd want black pepper in my cake. So I think ginger in a cake is great. I know the British love ginger cake, which is kind of a little different for Americans. We don't tend to use that too much. But lemongrass, I think that's more of a main dish as well. So we've got lots of things you can add it to. Chefs like to do crazy things sometimes. So I can see them putting this particular spice in a dessert, which is fun. But it can accompany almost any food. Now, fresh catfish, that's that fish that literally has things on its face that look like whiskers of a cat, It's not my favorite fish. It's awfully fishy tasting.
Right.
But I know my dad liked it a lot. It's wrapped, this catfish will be wrapped with bamboo leaves, very popular cooking technique, and then flavored with magao, and that's a really popular dish. Now, if you go into the mountains, you're likely to see vendors on the road selling sausages spiced with magao. Now, that sounds really yummy to me. I do like, your sausages here. Now, a vendor, of course, are those street vendors, those people on the sides of streets that are often selling something from, what do we call those that they use? Their carts.
Lubiantan.
Yeah, their carts on the side of the road. Those are very often places that I try some of the most delicious things I've ever eaten when I'm outside. I love those vendors. I love to go to markets and buy things on the street. You know, here in Taiwan, eating street food isn't quite as dangerous sometimes as other countries where you can get or diarrhea because your stomach's not used to things. But I've always found the food here to be very safe to eat and so delicious. Now, again, a vendor can also be just somebody who sells or offers something to people. You don't have to be on the street. You could be a vendor who maybe sells business equipment to different companies. You don't have to be necessarily a street vendor. That's why we'll often use a street in front of vendor to talk about those people who are selling things in night markets or on the street.
You bet. So, of course, the Saisiat and the Atayal live in mountain areas. And so if you're in Hsinchu County or Miaoli or Nantou or wherever, and you're driving in the mountains, you might see a vendor at the side of the road selling sausages that are spiced with magao or maybe some other dishes as well that you can stop and try. Now, here it says it's so versatile, or so versatile, you can say it both ways, that it can be even used in place of salt or black pepper for a spicy kick. If something's versatile, that means it can be used in lots of different areas. Of course, you might want to hire versatile employees. They can do all sorts of different things, and they're not specialized in just one particular area. They have many skills. They're very versatile. And this particular seasoning is versatile, so you can use it in place of salt or black pepper, or maybe even in place of soy sauce or whatever, because it has this kind of spicy kick. Here the word kick is a noun. It just means an extra kind of feeling to something, an extra feeling of spiciness.
Yeah, an extra tasty reaction, maybe an extra tasty effect. Now, the plant's also made into essential oil, so you can probably use it to scent your home, which is kind of nice. And it's used as a raw material in pharmaceutical products. Pharmaceutical refers to drug companies that usually make prescription drugs. So moving on to the final paragraph, it says, for the Tayal and other indigenous Taiwanese, magao has a deep cultural significance. So when it goes back thousands of years, of course, you're going to understand that it has a lot to do with the culture of the people. And it's become an important part of their lives if it's been around for, as they said earlier, thousands of years.
Right, so it means a lot to these tribes, and it represents nutrition, the life cycle, and the traditional wisdom and life spirit of their ancestors. So to Aboriginal peoples, indigenous tribes here in Taiwan, it's something that is important to their culture. It represents all sorts of things. It represents, of course, nutrition. If you have this particular seasoning, it helps with your daily diet. It's also part of the life cycle. You use it on different food that you plant into the soil, and it comes back up as plants again. And it also represents the traditional wisdom and life spirit of their ancestors. Of course, the ancestors are the people who lived before them many generations ago.
Yeah, the people that came before you in your family are your ancestors, but the people that come after you, that you have, are called your descendants. So your ancestors precede you, and your descendants follow you. Yeah, kind of cool. So the next time you get a chance, be sure to try a delicious dish flavored with this amazing spice. I know I'm going to be on the lookout for this particular spice, magao. I've never heard people talk about it, but since I didn't know about it before, I probably didn't pick it up as I was listening to conversations. Now that I know about magao, I'm going to be looking for it and asking different vendors if they use that particular spice. I'm curious to taste it.
Me too. I am curious as well. But we live in lovely Taipei here.
Yeah.
So maybe they don't use it so much in food served in markets here in Taipei. Maybe you do actually have to go to mountain areas to check it out. And yes, indeed, that does bring us to the end of our discussion for today. And of course, we are very hungry as a result. But we'll have to wait to eat after we listen to our Chinese teacher.
从第二段我们可以发现马告在料理当中妙用无穷 From meat, seafood, and soup to even dessert, 马告 can accompany almost any food. 这里的 accompany 呢指的就是搭配食物哦。马告几乎可以搭配所有食物，包括肉类、海鲜、汤品，甚至点心。接着请同学看到段落的最后3句 It's so versatile. 那 versatile 呢是指多变的、多功能的。It's so versatile that it can even be used in place of salt or black pepper for a spicy kick. In place of salt or black pepper. 那这 in place of 就是替代，可以替代盐或者黑胡椒。What's more, 还有 Macau's usage isn't limited to cooking. 还有就是马告的用途还不仅限于呢料理。接着我们看到第3题，既然前句说到马告的用途不仅止于料理，我们就可以预测第3题空格填入的句子告诉我们马告到底还有什么其他用途，所以答案选 C. The plant is also made into essential oil and used as a raw material in pharmaceutical products. 马告这种植物也可以做成精油，并作为药品的原料。接下来第3段第4题空格的前一句提到 For the Ataya and other indigenous Taiwanese, Macau has a deep cultural significance. 对于泰雅族和其他台湾原住民来说，马告有着深刻的文化意义。我们可以推测空格应该会继续说明或举例马告所代表的文化意涵。所以我们选 B. It represents nutrition, the life cycle, and the traditional wisdom and life spirit of their ancestors. 马告代表着营养、生命周期、传统智慧和原住民祖先的生命精神。空格下一句，那建议读者 The next time you get a chance, be sure to try a delicious fish flavored with this amazing spice. 请同学呢把这个 flavored 画起来 flavored with 那就是用马告呢增加味道，用马告入菜的可口料理，有机会请大家一定要试试看。以上就是我们针对篇章结构的解题说明，谢谢大家。
That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again next time for another edition of our program. And do indeed enjoy that Macau if you haven't had it before. It's very representative of Taiwan. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.